Jefferson Robbins for NCW Life. The Chelan County primary ballot this August is going to be pretty long. Among those positions up for election are District 3 Chelan County Commissioner. One of the candidates for that office joins me now, Chris Willoughby from Manson. How you doing, Chris?
Doing good. Thank you for having me.
I'm glad you could be here. Thank you very much. You are running for Chelan County Commissioner District 3. This is the district that Tiffany Gehring currently represents, and she won't be running again. You're running as a Republican. Tell folks about yourself. You know, what's your background, and you know what makes you qualified for this office?
Well, I'm a fourth-generation farmer in the Manson area. I've grown up in the Lake Chelan Valley, and being there, I have actually taken on the positions of being a community servant. So I started being a firefighter volunteer at age 16, and I still am. And I've taken on the role of fire commissioner recently. And so, yeah, it's been one of those things that community is really big in my beliefs, and this is one of those things that I think I have that I'll bring to the table.
How long have you been serving as fire commissioner?
Fire commissioner, I just got elected this last fall, so January 1st was my first day. So yeah, it's just my first 6 months really, and it's been very informative, and we've been getting things done. So.
And you're also serving on the Manson Community Council and have done a couple of terms there, right?
Yes, so I've done 3 terms there. I'm actually 14 years total on that. Was part of the growth management review for Manson back in early 2000s. So yeah, it's been really fun. But yeah, I've left and then been asked to come back, and so yeah, there's a lot of things that's changed since I started the first time.
And community councils are a little bit interesting in that they're elected, but they don't have quite the same function as a city council. Can you talk a little bit about the community council and what its role is?
So the community council is basically a representation board. So we don't have any authority to make code laws or anything like that. We're an advisory board. So we're an advisory board to the county. So we actually work really close to the county on issues and different regulations we like to see or changes. One of the ones that we really worked on is the STR codes, trying to make them fair for both sides. And it's one of those things that in 2009 we worked on that, and then as a beta test. And it really got picked up about 5 years ago, I think it was, that county decided that, well, we need to do it. And it worked in Manson. So, but yeah, there's a lot of issues that we bring up.
STR being short-term rentals, and how property owners can use their property when it comes to renting it on a short-term, less than a monthly or yearly basis.
Right.
Okay. So tell me why you decided to seek countywide office, why you're running for Chelan County Commissioner.
So there's a lot of issues that I've actually seen over the years that I'm very passionate about, and they're countywide issues that affect communities directly. And so my whole belief is community first. I believe the communities need to have that voice. It doesn't matter if you're in Plain, doesn't matter if you're in Malaga, where you're at, it's a community voice, not just a blanket ordinances that run everything. Because what happens in Manson is different than what happens in Leavenworth, Plain, Eniat, you know, those areas are totally different. So I think the community needs to have some buy-in and voice on their different issues and wants.
And the communities that you would represent on the County Commissioners Board is your own town of Manson, Chelan next door, Eniat, the north end of Wenatchee, and everything in between.
Everything there.
Stehekin too.
Stehekin also, yes.
Can't forget. What would be your philosophy, Chris, of approaching these issues? If you talk about community buy-in, does that mean you're holding regular community meetings to find out what folks in those towns are thinking about and what they want brought to the county?
Yes. I'm very big on community input. So in order to get the good input from the community, you actually have to be there and listen. And that's one of the things that I've actually really have done through the community council is I listen to things. And I may not agree with things, but if it's best for the community, I'll go with it. You know, it's proven me wrong sometimes. So the whole thing with community buy-in is they don't feel that they have a voice. They won't do anything except for sit back and see what happens. When they have buy-in, the community actually flourishes. And I've seen that up in Manson. We've actually grown quite a bit in the last, especially 20 years.
Can you think of instances where the Chelan County Board of Commissioners or the county as a whole has, set some priorities that you thought were misguided? Whereas if you were on the commission at the time, you feel like, I would have voted a different way on that issue.
So some of the things that they've done, I think the fiscal responsibility is one of those huge things also on my plate. There's a lot of money that's being pulled away from county roads and stuff like that. The infrastructure issue, that's a huge thing. And it's going towards support of tourism infrastructure, which is not all bad. But if you take away from the general infrastructure of the county, it actually creates an issue later on. The maintaining of roads is huge because when they start to break down, it costs more. To build a trail, yeah, we can get grant money for that, but the buy-in on the maintenance and stuff like that, that's all on the county too. But what's more important, somebody's walking trail or the roads that we use for transportation and goods and services?
I seem to recall that Totem Pole Road up in your neighborhood has been kind of one of those projects, been waiting in the mix for a long time.
Yes, a lot, and it's part of the Safe Paths to School projects, and was supposed to kick off in 2025. I'm not sure, I haven't gotten an update on it, but I think there's some funding issues there too. So, but yeah, that's one of the huge ones there.
Very dependent on transportation money that comes through the county.
Yes.
You are an orchardist. You've seen changes, as you said, around Manson. So as commissioner, how would you balance those issues of development versus rural culture and conservation? People need a place to live. Manson's really attractive to live in. How do you allow them to find good, affordable place to live while also trying to conserve what makes Manson or makes the rural county what it is?
So the rural aspect of a community is what draws people in. Agriculture in Lake Chelan Valley has been a huge draw because people like the green space. They like to see the trees and everything. What's happening is the more people that come in, the more orchards that get pulled out to accommodate those homes that are being added. There is a right to farm that's being affected by this because as development comes up, the right to farm issues are getting kind of pushed. The thing with development is as they encroach into ag space, there's other regulations that the agricultural industry has to take consideration of and increase costs. So the whole cost issue with that is what's damaging our agricultural industry there. To find balance, there is certain areas, if there's a water view, people want to build there. It doesn't matter which lake you're on, they want to build. The whole thing with the farming is they need to realize that this was agricultural first and the housing came after. So to protect that and create balance, we need to actually have that discussion. We need to set limits and boundaries and stuff in the codes. Some of those codes are actually being looked at now as far as homesteading and stuff like that. So there is some movement on that, but it's kind of in the decision phase right now.
You are the only candidate of the four running for this seat who lives outside the Wenatchee metro area. And I have a question about the way we elect commissioner candidates. They are chosen in the primary by voters only in District 3. Those are the only people who have a choice between you and your three competitors. In the general, the top two people advance to that ballot, and then they're voted on by the whole county. Does that system make sense to you? Do you think that is a good way to elect a Chelan County commissioner?
I actually agree that system works because you may be representing primarily your district, whether it's District 1, 2, or 3, but as a seated county commissioner, you're representing the whole county. I mean, that's the thing, is you're not just over Sunny Slope to Stehekin in District 3. You're actually representing Plain, Malaga, all these different areas in between. So yeah, I think everybody should have a buy-in on that.
So you're applying local concerns and applying county-wide solutions to those concerns.
Yeah, correct.
As commissioner. One more thing, you mentioned short-term rental policies.
Mm-hmm.
Short-term rental policies were sort of workshopped in your town when you were on county on community council, and helped to sort of set a pattern by which Chelan County could then establish its own policies on short-term rentals. Those policies that are in place now include a cap on the percentage of housing that can go toward that in each given zip code. Where do you stand on the way the county is operating that system right now? Does that system need to be looked at all?
Well, so the short-term rental code was actually adopted in Manson because we had people that were being negatively impacted by short-term rentals. So we wanted to find a balance where it would work for short-term rentals as well as the local residents. So the county actually picked up on that, and so the whole thing with the short-term rental code is that we need short-term rentals because we don't have the tourism infrastructure such as hotels and stuff, especially in Lake Chelan Valley, to support the 1 million visitors we get a year. So, but to have those negatively impact a community, even a neighborhood, we need to have those in place. So I actually see where the county's gone, and now they have an enforcement type of system in place, and it's actually working. There hasn't been many issues with it. As far as the percentages of the caps, we're nowhere near it in Manson. I mean, it's not going to be reached anytime soon. So I think what we have working in Manson for that as long as it's been there, giving it to the county wide is actually a good thing because it actually does help communities.
Chris, is there anything I didn't ask about your candidacy that you think is important or that you think voters should know?
So, like I said, I'm a community first person, but the other thing is a lot of people say, how are you going to stop change, or how are you going to manage change? Well, change is inevitable. It's how we manage it. Yes, we have to manage the change. And how do we do that? We do that through codes. Okay, we do that through different issues brought up at the community level and workshop those. That may be how we do it. But yeah, so the whole thing with the working the codes over and stuff, there's some codes in there that are actually really old. There's some codes that people don't even realize are on the books. And so we need to look at those also and see where we're at with that. So.
Well, Chris Willoughby, candidate for Chelan County Commissioner, District 3. Thanks a lot for being here today.
And thanks for having me.
You're watching the NCW Live channel.